which brings us to the 10-minute rule motion. Gareth Snell.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to establish an independent office of the whistleblower, to protect whistleblowers and whistleblowing, to make provisions for the office of the whistleblower to set, monitor and enforce standards for the management of whistleblowing cases, to provide disclosure and advice services, to direct whistleblowing investigations and to order redress of detriment suffered by whistleblowers and for connected purposes. So it's quite a small bill. Madam Deputy Speaker, if I may, I'd like to start with a couple of thank yous, because all too often being a whistleblower is a thankless task. You risk so much of your personal standing, your reputation, your home, and I think this 10-minute rule motion coming so soon after the statement that we've just had from my friend from Harrow highlights the importance of those who are willing to speak up and highlight wrongdoing this year. So I would like, potentially on behalf of the House, if they'll indulge me, to thank those people who have the bravery to stand up, say there is wrongdoing and put themselves at risk. I also, Madam Deputy Speaker, want to pay a very short and small tribute to my immediate predecessor in this place, Jo Gideon, who now serves as the chairperson of Whistleblowers UK. She did a lot in this House to progress this issue, and it is testament to her that there has been progress in the last Parliament, and I hope that we can continue it in this place. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm grateful to the Government for the work that they have been doing on improving current arrangements for whistleblowing. The Duty of Candour bill that has brought forward, which will place on our public servants the requirement to speak out and tell the truth when investigations happening, is an important part of shining the light on some of the dark recesses of our public sector when things go wrong. I'm also grateful to the Government for recognising that whistleblowing can be an important way when it comes to sexual harassment and the work they're doing on the Employment Rights Bill. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, the whole purpose of whistleblowing is to try and prevent things happening in the first place. And all too often, we end up in circumstances and situations where something terrible happens. Somebody stands up and gives evidence as to what has happened. And then, as we've heard over many hours of debate in this place, it costs an awful lot of public money then to redress the wrongdoing that has happened. And in that circumstance, it is costing taxpayers huge amounts of money by not having in place an effective and efficient whistleblowing system that is available to anybody who sees wrongdoing. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, currently the framework for whistleblowing in this country is very much looked at through the lens of employment law. If you are only technically considered a whistleblower if you are employed by the organisation or have a contractual relationship with the organisation to which you are making a disclosure.
Will my honourable friend give way on that point?
Not in a 10-minute rule. No, I do apologise. What that means is that the remedy and the redress that is available to the whistleblower normally ends up in an employment tribunal, which is an entity for which the redress then looks at the occupational and work-related loss the individual has suffered, and not necessarily some of the social and reputational damage that they suffer as a result of being the person to stand up and speak out. And we all know that standing up and speaking out is so important, Madam Deputy Speaker. We install it in new members of this place when we arrive here. We are told if we see something, it is a duty for us to say something. Anyone who travels on a train will hear the "see it, say it, sorted" slogan. But actually, in life, too often, if people see something, saying something about it is a risk that is just too far. They make a disclosure about their workplace and suddenly they're put on gardening leave. They find themselves in a situation where they're labelled as the troublemaker in the organisation, and then they end up down an employment tribunal route. And actually, the issue itself doesn't necessarily get dealt with. So one of the aspects of this bill, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I hope the Government will consider taking forward, even if not in this bill, but in other bills that they may bring forward, is around the office of the whistleblower. It was supported by my party when in opposition in amendments to the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Bill. It has been something that has been talked about. The honourable gentleman from Torbay, who is no longer here, raised it in the last session about being something that would have helped us prevent some of the scandals that we've seen in this country. what the office of the whistleblower would do is it would give a genuine levelling effect to those people who stand up and say the right thing, who then suddenly find themselves combated by and opposed by the legal and financial resources of huge companies who seek to discredit them, who seek to isolate them, seek to put them in a position where their reputation and their home life is struggling. And with an office of the whistleblower, we can remove that David versus Goliath situation, and we can put it genuinely in a place where speaking up and doing the right thing counts. The other thing that I would hope that the Office of the Whistleblower would do is be able to look at and be a designated point for people to report when they have themselves made a disclosure. Now, currently there are 88 different regulatory bodies that can take a whistleblowing declaration. In fact, members of Parliament, we are prescribed people, Madam Deputy Speaker. We are somebody about whom a whistleblower can make a declaration without necessarily incurring penalty. Very few of us know that. Very few of us, I think, are then able to progress that to a new stage. So the Office of the Whistleblower would have a requirement to collate the data around where whistleblowing declarations are being made from public bodies and from those other organisations. And what that would crucially, Madam Deputy Speaker, allow for is for data to tell us where there is a problem, because I am sure that even today there will be employees in the NHS, in the civil service, in public sector organisations, in the private sector, who are making a disclosure to a manager who may have had somebody else yesterday making a disclosure to a different manager about the same problem, but no one is collating that data to say, actually, this is a problem in a particular sector. We should probably look at this. We should probably take some action now and prevent a genuine wrongdoing, malpractice, malfeasance, or even death from occurring. And our current whistleblowing arrangements are far too reactive. They rely on somebody standing up and speaking out, and they rely on that person taking a risk after an event has happened. It becomes almost a, here is the evidence to correct the wrongdoing that has occurred. What we need to do is change whistleblowing culture in our country, Madam Deputy Speaker, so that when something is happening and we see it, or somebody else sees it, they feel compelled, they feel supported to make that declaration. That's very important, because quite often, Madam Deputy Speaker, the people who are doing the wrongdoing in the first place, the people who are undertaking malpractice, malfeasance or corruption, do it because they think they can get away with it. They do it because they think nobody is watching. They do it because they think the risk is less than the reward they can personally derive from what's going on. It could be a cover-up, it could be fraud, it could be any form of non-criminal activity. But by making it clear that we now empower individuals, citizens of the country, to stand up and make that declaration protected and supported, it will make those people who want to do the wrong thing think again, and it will prevent the millions of pounds that we have to spend in this country on redress from being spent, and we can put that to better use, Madam Deputy Speaker. So this short bill, although it has a long title, I hope will go some way to rebalancing the power in this country to those who do the right thing, to those brave souls who take on often the mighty giants in this country and allow them the opportunity and the support they need to do the right thing, knowing that we've got their backs.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
The Right Honourable Liam Byrne, Robin Swan, Richard Ford, Sarah Champion, Mr Jonathan Brash, Tonya Antoniazza, Dr Alison Gardner, Mr Alex Barros-Curtis, Jim Shannon, Josie Godling, Will Stone, Anna Dixon and myself.
Gareth Snell.
One more.
Office of the Whistleblower Bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday the 25th of April 2025.
Friday the 25th of April 2025.